Something profound, Saul, and I pray that you expand on it. Men are going through the most.
Yeah.
Men are going through the most, and it's really sad that we have been marginalized because we are meant to be men. But at the same time, I also feel that when did we start becoming so weak? What in the world is wrong with y'all? We are built to take the fire. We are built to take the heat. Bro, I don't understand. We live in a society of sensitive men. You know, I went to my son, I posted on video the other day. I told my son after I watched them sing, I was like, you guys really suck. And this is like, yo, he's 10 years old, can break him. No, it's like, I told him, I even put it on Instagram. Yeah, the video.
You boys suck. You can't
I saw
sing.
that video.
You saw
I
it?
saw that video.
We need to build men to take resistance. They have to be able to take it. You got to be able to take it so much that you are never built to break.
But you need an outlet to also let it out. To also let taking it.
There are many. No, there are many outlets.
Wako, in your family, you
Yeah.
are at the front gate.
Yeah.
If there's a purge that you were speaking about,
Yeah.
you're not the one in the closet hiding and the kids are out at the gate. It's you out at the gate. But after that has passed and the sun rises in the morning, you have to find a way, a healthy way of letting that out. All that tension and all that shit you take in. But you have to be strong as a dude, definitely. And that's like some guys, it's their friendship circles. You know, that's why
Yeah.
men, we have to be there for one another. You know
Right.
what I mean? It's finding someone to talk to before offering
find
yourself or
something.
killing your family.
No, like seriously.
He's talking for the sensitive men. That's the problem right now.
Okay, so you're
Talking
saying
about outlets and all.
So I wanted to share my view on what they're saying here. It's hectic. It's very bad that we all want to I don't know, put weakness and strength when it comes to suicide, because I don't believe it has anything to do with that. I believe it has more to do with people piling things inside and then, get to a stage where they can no longer cope or handle the situation. Because by the time a person decides to do that, I think they've survived a lot already. And that's the reaction that most people, that's the response of most people when it comes to things like this. They want to think you are weak, you're not strong enough. Why would you do that? Why didn't you think of your family? Why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? And just to share a short example, my personal experience with suicide. In university, I had a very close friend. She later committed suicide, and she was the bravest person I know, the most confident girl I've ever seen. She was not scared of anything, as far as I know. The whole time I knew her. Let me tell you, we had a class that we attended in it was like a class, sort of like all the students, a computer class. So all the courses could, attend if you felt you needed extra lessons for that. So the class would always be full. We attended it in a big auditorium, and every time there was a register to sign. And imagine now it's a class full. Even if they gave out the register in the beginning of the class, by the end of the class, you still need to sit there and wait for the register. And sometimes you'd wait more than an hour just so you could sign your name. So what my friend would do is, before the class ends, she would check where the register is, walk down in her high heels with confidence, get to where the register is, take it, bring it back for us to sign. She signs and take it back with confidence to where it was, in a class full of students. She was that brave. Now I remember we were supposed to be closing for our first term, and then she She had her own issues. I was pregnant. I didn't want to go home for my family to see that. So we decided, no, you know what? Let's not go home. The holidays are going to be short anyway. Let's just stay here until the schools reopen. And then, yeah, we'll be fine. But then as we were there, we're just thinking of how lonely we're going to be because everybody's going to go home and it's going to be quiet. And I remember us walking back from the shops one day and looking at the ground. It's a playground, an area where a whole lot of students used to hang themselves in, you know. It's a very bad spot, but yeah, it is what it is. So we're looking at it and thinking, you know, friend, because it's going to be so quiet and lonely, we're probably going to help each other hang ourselves there if we don't go home. So let's just go home, face our things, and then, yeah, come back and see. And I remember her saying, yo, I would never commit suicide. No, that's what she said. But she never came back from those holidays. It was such a struggle. It was such a struggle for me to accept that, you know, a person like her could actually go ahead and do something like this, because I viewed her as someone who was strong, you know, who could handle almost anything. And now, how could this happen? And from there on, I remember starting to think maybe there's something very demonic about suicide, because I thought, how can someone as brave as she is and as she was, and that one person who actually said it out loud the last time we spoke, that she would never do something like that, and for her to actually be able to do it. So to me, it just felt like maybe there's something that just comes over you that you can't, maybe you won't be able to fight at the moment, like, you know, a demonic spirit or something like that, because it baffled me. So when I see people still looking at it this way, that you are weak, you're not strong enough, why would you commit suicide, why didn't you think of your family, why I think it just opens up this debate. As Black people, we still need more information and education on depression and things like that, because by the time you get to the point of committing suicide, I think you already have struggled with a whole lot of things and piled up a whole lot of emotions. I'm no psychiatrist or psychologist, but I've been around people who are going through this type of emotions, and they can be sometimes the happiest people that you see, and you'd be surprised to hear that they're gone, and, you know, just like that, because most of these people don't show this sadness or this negative type of emotions in the name of being strong again, but they're suffering inside, and the end result is never it's never a good thing. We are losing a whole lot of men because of this myth yoguti men are supposed to be strong. I mean, to a certain extent, and I don't mean in that emotional manner. Like the other guy did say, that they need to have a sort of outlet of their emotions in order for them to be able to cope with life.
Weakness. Now, my personal definition of weakness within this context is the inability to resist temptation and the inability to do what needs to be done, regardless of how you feel. The inability to transcend your feelings in favor of discipline. A lot of men and a lot of people in general lack that in this day and age, which is insane because we have access to more resources than ever before. But as the saying goes, good times create weak men. The reason why men are weaker than ever before is because we have it easier than ever before. Men have it so easy in this day and age, and because of that, they've grown addicted and accustomed to instant gratification.
They are over-mothered and under-fathered. Father is absent, emotionally unavailable, abusive, judgmental, not present in their lives, and the mother has to fill that role. Well, she doesn't have to, but she chooses to. She chooses to fill the role of the masculine and the feminine. Now, I'm not here blaming men or blaming fathers, absent fathers specifically. I'm speaking to a far greater problem. I'm talking about hurt people hurting people. I'm talking about adults having children when they're still so deeply wounded themselves. When we carry unresolved trauma in our bodies, in our minds, in our constitution, we pass that on to everyone we meet, especially family of origin, especially our children, our partners, those closest to us. Those closest to us are close to us for a reason. And what we often do is then project our pain onto those that are closest to us, because there is a hope that we are able to project and they will embrace us and still love us. But then there's the part of us that is projecting and wanting them to react and push us away to reinforce our own stories of low self-worth. And so many parents are in this position. And so men, boys grow up to be men, or man boys maybe, but they're not really mature men, and they don't know how, and they haven't been shown by other men to be healthy men. They don't understand what a healthy masculine posture is. It's one of the great epidemics that we are in right now. What are your thoughts?
To add on to the table touch video, again, in the beginning of the video, I will not take away the fact that he did say men are going through the most. He did accept that, and he did mention, it said that they are marginalized because they are supposed to be men at the end of the day. And it's a struggle because he then said something about them being weak again. And in regard to the topic of suicide that they were talking about. And for me, I feel like it's also a struggle to differentiate between the two, emasculinity and strength, and what exactly does it mean by saying men are weak or strong. So the previous YouTuber, I think he explains it very well when he says for him it is the ability to do what needs to be done regardless of how you feel, which is very important. And I think I do agree with him. That's what it is for me in most cases as well. When I first came here, it was a sort of a culture shock for me to see this type of men who are, I don't want to say weak, but that they lack that masculinity. And I'll tell you, for example, one day I was in a taxi, you know, the small taxis, the Avanza, and it's a bit uncomfortable to sit at the back because, yeah, it really is uncomfortable. It's small and your knees are pinched up against the seat and stuff. So this early 20s boy I see on the street, he was waiting for a lift. But the minute he realized he was supposed to sit there, he was like, no, I'll have to pass. I'm not going to sit there. It's not comfortable. I'll have to wait for the next taxi. As a young man, it was a shocker because I was like, what? So you are looking for that much comfort in a taxi as a young man? I mean, okay. Because for me, in some situations, I mean, the discomfort of it should be a motivation as well for you to work even harder and get yourself your own car one day. You don't want to be that comfortable in a taxi all the time, every day. I'm not saying you must suffer, but hey, you know, just get on a taxi, get the ride until you can maybe afford to get your own car. But it was a culture shock for me, for a young man to prefer not to get a taxi just because he's not going to be comfortable. And with the small taxis, it's normally just a short distance sort of a situation. It's never like you taking a taxi to town or somewhere far. It's normally local taxis. So yeah, it's very interesting. And to move on to the next guy, what he's saying, I also think he's also making a very valid point when he is talking about men being overmothered, underfathered nowadays, because I've seen it. When I learned I was pregnant with a boy, it was such a struggle for me because I knew I'm a single mother, and I've seen how single parents over mother their boys. Not to shame anybody, but I've seen in people around me who've been raising boys that, oh, maybe this is not how it's supposed to happen, because naturally we are loving and we just over love these boys and just mother them too much, and there's no fatherly figure to guide and bring that masculine side of things. And I was actually freaking out when I learned I was going to have a son, knowing I'm going to be a single parent. It was such a struggle for me because I knew, I was scared. I'm not going to be any different. I'm not going to be any better. I'm just going to overmother too. And I'm going to have this boy who acts like a girl. And, at the end of the day, they need to start their own families and be leaders there. And with being overmothered, I don't know how. I don't know how is it going to happen moving forward. And I've seen situations where a mom brings in maybe it's a 20-year-old boy, and you find he can't answer a single question about what's going on with him, what medication did he take, what's wrong, where's the pain. He's looking at mom to answer every question, and I look at the situation and be like, you're supposed to be starting your own family maybe 10, 5, 8 years time. How are you going to do that if you depend on your mom for simple things like that?